What's up guys, Josh here and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're really going to take a look at the increase in prices pretty much across the board for gaming pre-builds, and specifically NZXT. Which is finally seeing some stock come in when it comes to their starter PC series, specifically the starter PC Plus and Pro, but that has also come along with an increase in price. So the NZXT Starter PC Plus was an $899 gaming PC not that long ago, and it was honestly the best PC at that price point with the hardware you were getting. So it was an i5 9400F and a 1660 Super with 16 gigs of RAM and a 500 gig SSD, and all in, of course, the NZXT H510. But since the stock has come back in for NZXT, the price has increased to $1,199, and you're getting the exact same hardware. So you're getting an i5 9400F, you're getting the 1660 Super, and still 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gig SSD, but the price has gone up $300. So it was kind of always going to happen that there was going to be this price increase for pre-builds as well, not just standalone hardware for those who are going to build their own PCs. Of course, we've seen graphics cards skyrocket, mainly due to tariffs and just shortage of supply, but it's finally made its way over to pre-builts, and the prices are increasing more than I was expecting, to be honest. So $300 increase, and that's really tied to the 1660 Super. I mean, those 9400Fs, they just have in stock. It's really tied to the price of the 1660 Super. So a $300 increase, I guess due to shortages and tariffs and things of that nature. And it's a similar story, to be honest, when it comes to other manufacturers, including Redux, which is a subsidiary of Digital Storm. It allows you a little bit more customization at a cheaper price. But I had done a video not that long ago comparing NZXT BLD, specifically the Starter PC Plus and Pro, against its competition over on Redux. And we compared the Starter PC Plus to a Redux build with an RTX 2060 and an i5 10400F. And the price of that PC was almost $1,250. However, today, looking at a similarly spec'd Redux system, so all the exact same components, the i5 10400F, 16 gigs of RAM, the RGB fans, motherboard, all of that, the exact same, but we drop it down to an RTX 1660, so not even a 1660 Super, and the price of this PC is now $1,359. They're charging you $460 for a GTX 1660, when an RTX 2060, maybe a month and a half ago, was coming in at around $390 from their pricing scheme. So prices on graphics cards are really hitting the pre-built market hard right now. Even the older stock of graphics cards, the GTX 1660s, the RTX 2060s, are starting to increase in price from a lot of these smaller system integrators. But NZXT and Redux aren't the only manufacturers that you can buy gaming PCs from. There's some of the bigger names out there like Dell and HP, and the Dell G5 is one of those systems that I've been looking back to pretty frequently to compare against, because they have some really good prices for the components that you're able to customize and build in to one of their systems. Now, you're not going to get the same upgradability, the same cooling that you'd get with one of those NZXT or Redux builds, but it's still going to give you really good components at a really nice price. So if you look here, we're getting an i5 10400F, a 1660 Super, 500 watt power supply, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 512 gig NVMe for $970 with the Dell G5. So $970 versus, if you were looking at the NZXT, which was $1,199, and the Redux, which was almost $1,360. This is an insane deal for the components that you're able to get from Dell. So the NZXT builds are shipping within 20 days. A system from Dell will get to you by around May 19th, or get to me by May 19th. It might be slightly different depending where you are, but that's around, let's see, 35 days. So it's comparable. The wait's a little longer with Dell, but it's not that crazy that you're willing to spend an extra $230 on a build that's giving you the exact same components, actually better components with the Dell. You're getting a 10th gen i5 instead of the 9th gen i5 from Intel, so you're getting hyper-threading on the CPU. And let's just compare the exact same price to price between NZXT and a Dell, and for the same price, so that $1,200, you can upgrade to a 10600 KF and an RTX 2060 and be at $1,190. Still 16 gigs of RAM, a 500 watt power supply, and the 512 gig NVMe. And even if you went up to an RTX 2060 Super, it's $1,234. So for an extra $30 over the NZXT Starter PC Plus, you're now getting an RTX 2060 Super, an i5 10600KF. So you're blowing that NZXT build out of the water with a system like this for barely that much more, and you're still getting it on around May 19th, so the middle of May, versus the end of April from NZXT. And of course, it's not just the Starter PC Plus. The Starter PC is now increased to $800. You're getting a 9100F and a GTX 1650. $800 for those components isn't great, but there's not a lot of systems that you can actually get your hands on, and that one's honestly still out of stock, but there's not a lot of systems you can get your hand on for around that $800 price point. But the Starter PC Pro, so the next level up over the Plus, has increased from $1,099 to $1,299, so a $200 increase in price. And they've traded out the 5700 XT that used to be in the build for an RTX 2060. So now for $1,299, if we were to compare to the Dell, keep the RTX 2060 Super, we could even upgrade to an i7-10700F. And we're now getting an 8-core 16-thread CPU versus a 6-core 6-thread CPU, and an RTX 2060 Super versus an RTX 2060 for almost the exact same price, actually less than the price from NZXT if we were to go with a Dell G5. Now, of course, keep in mind, like I mentioned, upgradability, cooling, not going to be the best with the Dell, but the components inside are going to game way better than the ones you're getting at the same price from NZXT or even Redux at this point in time. So systems, whether it's components for a build that you're wanting to do or pre-builts overall, they're extremely hard to get your hands on right now. And prices are starting to go up, not only for the individual components, graphics cards, CPUs, but also for pre-built coming from manufacturers who are also paying higher prices for the components that they're getting. So if you're looking to get your hands on a pre-built gaming PC now or in the near future, you're gonna have to kind of look around at some of the bigger system integrators, the Dells, the HPs that are buying these components in large quantities and are able to keep the prices down, versus some of the smaller ones like an NZXT or a Redux that don't have the same capacity to bring in that amount of stock. So if you guys are looking for a gaming PC right now, what would you do? Would you go with something like the NZXT even though the price has gone up? Or would you go with the Dell even though you're not getting the same look, cooling, upgradability down the line that you would get with one of those smaller system integrators? So let me know that in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, get subscribed to the channel, turn on post notifications so you can stay up to date on all my latest videos, whether it's pre-built or building a PC. Definitely stay tuned.